Hey y'all, in this lesson we are going to compare proportional relationships. Our essential question is, how can you compare proportional relationships represented in different ways? By the end of this lesson, we want to be able to say, I can analyze equations, linear graphs, and tables to find unit rates and compare proportional relationships. To start off, a proportional relationship is a relationship between two things where the rate of change remains constant, so it's changing at a constant rate. The rate of change is the amount the dependent variable changes compared to an increase in the independent variable. For example, speed is often in miles per hour. So speed is a proportional relationship where the miles per hour that you're driving and the time determines how many total miles you go. In our first example, we are going to take a look at comparing proportional relationships as graphs and equations. The graph here in the picture represents the rate at which Daniel earns points in his video game. The rate at which Brianna earns points in her video game is represented by the equation y equals 2x, where y is the number of points and x is the time in minutes. At these rates, who will earn 100 points first? Basically, it's asking who is going faster. So we can find the unit rate for each of these by finding out how much she and Daniel and Brianna get in 1 minute. And the one who's doing it faster or getting more points in 1 minute is going to reach 100 points first. So we're going to substitute 1 in for x in order to find the unit rate. And right now we're looking at the equation. So instead of y equals 2x, we will substitute in 1. 2 times 1 is simply 2. This means that she is earning 2 points for every minute she is playing. 2 points per minute. Now let's take a look at Daniel. In order to get Daniel's rate from the graph, we want to look very specifically at 1 minute. Since x is minutes, we're going to locate the value where x is 1 or 1 minute. This will tell us how many points he scores per minute. We can see that at 1 minute, Daniel has earned 3 points. You can see this where the time of 1 matches on the line with 3 points, or 1, 3. So that means that Daniel's rate is 3 points per minute. Now we can compare which rate of change is faster, and we'll get to 100 points first. Remember, Brianna earns 2 points per minute. Daniel earns 3 points per minute. The person that earns more and will earn 100 points first is Daniel. You try this one. This graph represents the rate at which Marlo makes origami birds for a craft fair. The equation, y equals 0.25x, represents the number of birds that Josh makes in x number of minutes. Who makes birds at a faster rate? Pause the video and fill in your answers now. The answer here, well, Josh is going to make 0.25 per minute, and when we look at Marlo's rate, he's going to make 2 birds in 10 minutes, so he is making 1 bird every 5 minutes, or if we bring that down to birds per minute, 1 bird in 5 minutes is going to be 0.2. So this is going to be 0.2, 0.25, and the answer here is that Josh is going faster. Let's look at another example comparing graphs and tables. Mira is researching cruising speeds of different planes. Which airline has a greater cruising speed? Here we have a Cessna, which has a cruising speed that we are going to figure out by taking the distance divided by the time. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 120 divided by 15 is 8. 240 divided by 30 is 8. As you can see, we get the same answer every time we divide distance by time. So in this case, the Cessna has a cruising speed of 8 kilometers per minute. Now, again, you're going to want to make sure you copy down all parts that are missing in your notes. While the Cessna has a cruising speed of 8 kilometers per minute, the Boeing 747 has a cruising speed of, well, we're going to find the slope using our graph. So here we're going to find the difference between any two pairs of coordinates to determine the constant of proportionality. In this case, they're showing us a point at 460 and 690. To go from 4 over to 6, I have to go over 2, and to go from 60 up to 90, I have to go up 30. So those are the numbers being shown here. So we're going to take 30 divided by 2, which will give us 15. This tells us the kilometers per minute that this plane is traveling. So the 747 is cruising at 15 kilometers per minute. That means the Boeing has a greater cruising speed than the Cessna. So the Boeing is going faster. So we compared the rate of change. We went over 2 minutes. We went 30 kilometers. So per minute, we go 15 kilometers. And we compare that with the Cessna. Example 3, comparing proportional relationships as graphs and words. So here we have a graph for the price of granola cereal. The graph represents the cost per ounce of a granola cereal. Another 15-ounce box of raisin cereal costs $3.90. Which cereal costs more per ounce? So again, you see here finding the cost per ounce. When we go from 10, 2.5 to 25, we're going 10 ounces up and $2.50 up. In order to find the constant of proportionality, we're going to be dividing those. Before we do that, let's take a look at the cost per ounce of the raisin cereal. Because it's cost per ounce, we're going to take the total cost divided by the total ounces. We end up getting, using a calculator, 0.26 over 1 ounce. So we just divide by 15. Now, looking at the granola cereal, again, we're going to do that to the difference in our y's divided by the difference in our x's, or the difference in our cost divided by the difference in our ounces. So it's still that cost over ounce. In this case, we get 250 over 10, 2.5 over 10, which is 2.5 per ounce. So the granola costs 2.5 or 25 cents per ounce, which means that the raisin cereal costs more. Very small amount more, but it costs more. Now's your chance to try one like this. The distance covered by the fastest high-speed train in Japan traveling at a maximum speed is represented on the graph here. The fastest high-speed train in the United States traveling at maximum speed covers 600 kilometers in 2.5 hours. Which train has the greater maximum speed? You're going to want to figure out the U.S. train's speed of kilometers per hour, and then use the line in the graph to help you find how many kilometers per hour the Japanese train moves. Here, the answer is going to be that we want to take that 600 and divide by 2.5. When we take 600 and we divide by 2.5, we get 240. When we look at the Japanese train, to go over 1 hour, we have to go up 334 miles per hour, or kilometers per hour. So this is going up 334. So we're comparing 240 versus 334, which means that the Japanese train has a greater maximum speed. To summarize what we've gone over in this lesson, to compare proportional relationships represented in different ways, we want to find the unit rate. So this is all about finding the unit rate, or constant of proportionality, for each representation. As we can see here, the representations below show the rental cost per hour for different canoes at 3 different spots. We have a graph, a table, and an equation. Can you see how each one's unit rate relates? Remember, you can go back and watch any part that you need to at any time. Your next steps are to submit your 5.1 notes, complete your 5.1 practice, and then take your 5.1 mastery check. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next lesson.